Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman, and behind this camera is one of the best guitar demonstrators known to man. He is the none other Captain.
What a wonderful, oh look at that, flashlight.
Yeah!
Yeah! Woo! I'm one of the best guitar demonstrators in the warehouse in Guildford, with the exception of Rob at the moment. Cool, well look, we're going to do a quick demo of some new pedals by the wonderful people from Hayden Amplification, who've designed a range of half a dozen guitar pedals called Dr. Green. And I think Dr. Green is something to do with the guy that designed them, who was a chap I think called Dave Green. Whether he's a doctor or not, I don't know. But in a medical emergency, I wouldn't trust him. So anyway, so what we've got is we've got a little evil robot amplifier here, which basically completely clean sounds like this. I've got a Les Paul, which sounds great. And the first couple of pedals I'm going to show you is the orange and the blue one here, which we're using through the effects loop of the amp, and we're going to have on for the bulk of the demo.
So the waiting room and the cubicle.
Yeah, so the cubicle is a reverb pedal, and I've not seen one exactly done like this with the wet and dry control before, but what I quite like about this is with the dry setting about halfway up, gain is through the effects loop is about the same. So with pretty much the same volume level. And the wet control controls how much reverb. So you can have a very, a subtle reverb, or a crazy reverb.
Like an orange rocker verb.
Yeah, or kind of anything in between. So you would find yourself a nice reverb. But what I like is the dry control can actually work as kind of like an effects loop boost. So if I turn the reverb sort of down, so I just have a little reverb like that, you'll notice the dry control sort of acts as a secondary volume. So if I was doing, let's say I had the pedal switched off and I was just had a bit of a, a decent rhythm sound. And I thought, I need a solo boost. I can hit this in. And I can actually control that sort of, how much extra boost that I get there. So it's kind of a two-in-one sort of pedal, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to leave it on just a standard reverb.
Captain, do that again, I'll get it down the neck. Be careful not to get your vibrato too close to the camera because the world might implode.
So then the orange pedal here is an analog delay pedal. So we've got repeats, delay and time control on here. Pretty standard stuff. The delay control controls how loud the repeats are. The repeats, funnily enough, are how many repeats, and the time is the length of the delay. So we can get a nice kind of rock and roll-y. Way too much, hang on. So that kind of, I don't know, early 50s sort of rock and rolly stuff. Or we can go a little bit more spacey, some slightly longer repeats. Kind of max this out. It's a typical sort of analog pedal, so it doesn't have a really long delay time like some of the digital pedals would, but dark sounding, you can probably hear that. It's not adding any sort of unwanted sort of brightness or anything. Maxed out, you're getting about probably a second's worth of delay. happens when you start feeling the
Radio
delay
head.
pedal while it's on. Right, so I'm going to leave these 2 pedals in for the bulk of this demo. Chap is going to come and shred along, so I'm just going to really show you what the basic pedals do. So the first of the pedals that we've got going in the front end of the amplifier is called the Dr. Green Booster Shot. And the booster shot is, as the name suggests, a straight booster. However, we have a little bit like a top boost pedal, the ability to sort of boost the top end differently to the overall. So if I just use it as a straightforward boost pedal, I've got a nice crunchy rhythm sound. I hit that in and all of a sudden heaps and heaps more gain. The high boost I can roll in to act a little bit more like a top boost, so you'll hear a bit more transient. If you want to use it just like a top boost pedal, again, you can roll down the full boost and just drive the high boost, or you can drive everything and just goes kind of, you know, full. Let me just tune my guitar. Okay. So the next pedal in the range, dans le range, is the Black Death. I'm going to leave that till last because I know what that is. That's a metal pedal and Rob's going to love that. So I'm going to go with the Hairy Tongue. Hairy Tongue. Who came up with these names? So the Hairy Tongue is a fuzz pedal. Again, fuzz is a strange effect. You know, you've really got to kind of have the right amp and the right guitar and be in the right sort of playing the right kind of stuff to be into fuzz, but we'll see what we can find. So it's a great name if nothing else, Hairy Fuzz. And one of these pedals I think in the bass range is called the Bearded Lady.
Yes, I've got
and
Bearded Lady.
If you're a Guilfordian like myself, you'll know we have our very own Bearded Lady, and if you Google Bearded Lady Guildford, there's lots of YouTube videos that have been cruelly put up of this rather strange old lady, or is it? With a beard that goes around the town centre. Anyway, so Hairy Tongue, here's without the pedal. Here's with. Actually not as dirty fuzz as I was expecting it to be.
Sounds really, really good, man.
I mean, if we dial up the fuzz, it probably will. Cool, actually.
It's a great pedal.
Again, fuzz pedals often work well with a more driven kind of guitar sound, and you sort of slightly get that more synthy kind of Eric Johnson-y kind of drive sound. So, but this is sounding good. This is without again. Yeah, once you get up to about 3/4 of the way around, it starts to go into that fuzz kind of overload. So that's the fuzz. Rob will play a bit more on that, I'm sure, shortly. Looks cool. Next in the range is, there's one more somewhere I think here. It is the Life Support Sustain Compressor. Love a bit of compression in the sound. Again, sometimes people will use that a bit like a boost pedal. Other people will use it over a clean sound to kind of just fatten things up and give a bit of consistency to the sort of the levels that you've got. So here we go.
She embraces it.
Oh, she does.
Good for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Dr. Green life support compressor. So you can hear immediately. This is without. If I put it in, you know, really tight. I mean, I probably need a little bit more volume out of that. So the more I turn the sustain up, the more it compresses it and therefore leaves the note to sort of last for longer.
why don't we take all of these pedals, combine them, and see if I can find a cool, ripping lead sound, the combination of the many pedals.
So I'll wire these up. Let's just get that last one out. That is the heavy death metal called the Black Death, which for those of you around in the 1700s or whenever it was, or the 1600s, will know that it was a rather nasty disease that wiped out half the population of Europe, I think.
So I actually survived it.
It's probably in slightly bad taste that Dr. Green have decided to call this pedal that name, but there we are, even with a rat on the front. So there we are. If you lost family during the Black Death, I do apologise for the insensitive nature of Dr. Green, but I'm sure it sounds amazing. So, you can hear it already, can't you? That hiss in the background.
Yeah,
let's see what it does. Let's see what it does.
Stand back.
Stand
back for black.
Okay, so here's without. Sounds great. Hang on. Here's without. Not as heavy as I thought it was going to be, actually.
I think it's more of a rat pedal, isn't it?
Might be, yeah. So, that's a quick run through the pedals. Now I'm going to chain them all up and chappers can shred out.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rob Chapman, and I found this beautiful little Fender Strat which looked like it was lost and lonely and needing some love and attention, so here I am using it. And a selection of Dr. Green pedals to find a nice tone that I would use in a recording or live. I chose to use the Hairy Tongue, primarily because of the name and then secondarily because it sounds awesome, followed by the Cubicle and the Waiting Room, because they're both places, and that sounded interesting to me. And what I'm liking about this particular tone with the Strat, the Robot, and these Dr. Green pedals is that you can back off, get some juicy tone.